where they explored a 13-minute meditation done every day for a period of 8 weeks. That meditation led to significant improvements in focus and concentration ability, as well as other aspects of cognitive performance. It also improved mood and reduced stress. So you might be wondering, what exactly is this meditation? The meditation is very simple, and it's one that anyone can perform. What you would want to do is set a timer for about 13 minutes. I don't think it has to be exactly 13 minutes, but since that's what they included in the study, you would set a timer for 13 minutes. You would sit or lie down, close your eyes, and you would simply focus on your breathing. Most people are going to benefit from only doing that breathing through their nose, but if you have some sort of obstruction or inability to breathe just through your nose, you could probably also do it by breathing through your nose and mouth, or just your mouth. But ideally, you would do just nasal breathing for a period of 13 minutes, concentrating on that breathing. And concentrating, meaning bringing your awareness, your so-called interoceptive awareness, if you wanted to get really technical about it, your interoceptive awareness to a point just about an inch inside of your forehead. Now, of course, that might sound kind of gory to some of you. You've never actually been inside your forehead, but just about an inch behind your forehead is where you would want to place your concentration while also concentrating on your breathing. Now, here's the thing about meditation that all studies of meditation show, which is that unless you are a very experienced meditator, your concentration, your focus will drift away from your breathing and away from that location about an inch inside your head, inside your brain, about just behind your forehead. That will happen maybe every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds, maybe even every 5 seconds. But an important part of such a meditation practice to improve concentration and focus is that you are continually refocusing back to that specific location and refocusing back on your breath. This is something that, again, is not often discussed. People think that if you do a meditation and you're supposed to concentrate on your breath, that if your mind drifts, that somehow you failed in that meditation. But actually, that's not the case. A huge component of improving your ability to focus and concentrate by way of neural plasticity, rewiring of the circuits for focus and concentration, is the repeated return to a state of focus from a state of non-focus or diminished focus. Okay, so think about it like trying to drive down the freeway and staying between the lane lines, and every once in a while, because there's a bit of drift on the vehicle, maybe the wheels aren't aligned correctly or there's something else wrong with the chassis or the steering device, it starts to drift right a little bit. Then you hit the rumble strip and then you pull back to the center. That's really what a focused meditation practice is about, as opposed to expecting yourself to stay between the mental lane lines, so to speak. So if you're somebody who's going to do a practice of the sort that I described, 13-minute meditation practice every day, you'd want to sit or lie down, close your eyes, start to concentrate on your breath, focus your attention on a location about an inch behind your forehead, and then fully expect that at some point you'll be thinking about something else, and that's a cue to focus back to that location just about an inch behind your forehead and back to your breath. By doing that repeatedly over and over, what you're really training up is the network within your brain that indeed includes that prefrontal cortex that you're focusing on, as well as some other structures, the infratemporal cortex, indeed the hippocampus, a structure associated with memory, and other components of the neural circuit that are involved in directing our mental focus and concentration. Again, I can't emphasize the importance of this practice being one of focusing and refocusing. In fact, I would prefer to call such a practice a refocus meditation, or a constantly refocusing, or maybe you all can come up with a better name for it. I'm certainly not that good at naming things. But this sort of meditation practice has been shown in the study by the Suzuki Lab and other studies to really improve people's ability to focus and remain focused. So much so that in the beautiful book, Altered States, they describe a number of different meditation practices, some a little bit longer than the one that I described, one that's 17 minutes, another one that's 30 minutes. Some people will meditate as long as 60 minutes a day, although that's quite a long time in my opinion. The point here isn't how long you focus or somehow trying to achieve total focus for the entire 13-minute or 17-minute or 60-minute bout of meditation. While that would be wonderful, and I think many people aspire to do that, that's a lot of hard mental work. I think for most people out there, including myself, a relatively short meditation practice of about 13 minutes in which you fully expect your focus and concentration to drift, but that you are continually refocusing is going to be the most effective, yes, indeed, the most effective at teaching yourself to focus and stay concentrated. In fact, I invite you to interpret every time that you focus off that location about 1 inch behind your forehead as an opportunity to refocus, and think about the refocusing as the trigger for teaching your neural circuits how to focus for extended periods of time. And as a bonus to that sort of meditation practice, the study from Wendy Suzuki's lab also showed that people experience improvements in sleep and improvements in memory. So not just improvements in mood and reduction in stress and improvements in focus and concentration, but all these other positive benefits from just doing that 13-minute-a-day meditation practice. It's one that I've started to adopt and have felt tremendous benefit from, and that I encourage many of you to try as well. The one cautionary note is the one that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, which is because the refocus, as I'll call it, meditation does involve a significant amount of effort and engagement of these prefrontal cortical circuits. It is disruptive to sleep if performed too closely to sleep. So if you are going to do that practice, I recommend that you not do it within the 4 hours prior to your bedtime. Earlier, I mentioned that I would talk about ways to improve focus if you are sleep deprived. This is something that I'm all too familiar with. I put a lot of effort into optimizing my sleep. That's something that with each passing year, I put more and more effort into, again, because sleep is so vital for mental health, physical health, and performance of all kinds. But certainly in my role as a student, in my role as a professor, and in my role in life, I've had numerous times in which I simply did not get enough sleep, or my sleep was terrible for whatever reason. And yet I still had work demands and social demands, etc. One practice that is very effective at allowing you to focus better than you would otherwise under conditions of sleep deprivation is so-called non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR. This is also referred to sometimes as yoga nidra. Yoga nidra actually means yoga sleep. Yoga nidra is a practice of lying down for about 10 to 30, sometimes even as long as 60 minutes. You listen to a script. It's an audio script that takes you through a progressive deep relaxation. It involves a body scan, some long exhale breathing. It is very restorative in the sense that one tends to emerge from yoga nidra or NSDR feeling greatly refreshed compared to how you felt prior to it. There is also terrific neuroimaging data from laboratories in Denmark showing that there's a restoration of dopamine levels in the so-called basal ganglia after NSDR, aka yoga nidra. Whether or not you call it yoga nidra or NSDR, which is what I refer to it as, non-sleep deep rest, you can find these scripts at zero cost. Multiple places you can find there are certain apps that are NSDR or yoga nidra apps. There is a NSDR protocol that was put out there by Made For, which is on YouTube that you can access for free. There is a NSDR, or I should say a number of NSDR protocols through the Virtusan app. There are, again, a number of different places that one can access NSDR protocols. I do NSDR for 10 to 30 minutes per day, every single day, not just on days where I'm sleep deprived. If I happen to be sleep deprived, I would extend that NSDR to 30 or 60 minutes. And when you do that NSDR will depend on when you have time for that NSDR. When I haven't slept well, what I'll try and do is find a quiet place where I can do NSDR for 30 or ideally 60 minutes. Sometimes I will fall back asleep during that NSDR. That's fine if you do that. But most people will stay awake during the NSDR, and then I'll emerge from that and go about my day. If in the afternoon I'm very fatigued because of lack of sleep, I might do another NSDR of 10 to 30 or 60 minutes and then another work bout. Again, NSDR is something I do every day. I talk a lot about this in the episodes related to sleep because it can help you get better at falling and staying asleep at night, in addition to feeling restorative in that immediate time frame of the day in which you do NSDR. So it's immensely beneficial at various times and for various purposes. But here, within the context of trying to concentrate and focus when you're sleep deprived, NSDR, aka yoga nidra, is an immensely beneficial practice. There's growing amounts of quality science pointing to the neurochemical replenishing effects, as I mentioned before, dopamine, but also the potential for NSDR to replace sleep that you've lost. I would never want anyone to try and use NSDR as a total replacement for sleep, but under conditions in which you cannot control your sleep, NSDR is going to be the best way that I am aware of to restore your ability to focus and concentrate for whatever purpose. And if you emerge from your NSDR and then drink some caffeine, you'll notice an even greater capacity for focus and concentration for all the reasons directly related to caffeine.